Judith Barsi was born on June 6, 1978, to Hungarian immigrant parents. Her mother immediately started grooming her to be a star. She was beautiful, talented, and vibrant, but the happiness she displayed on screen did not reflect what was happening at home. Her father was spiraling down into an alcohol-fueled state of psychosis. He routinely abused Judith and her mother. But on July 25, 1988, the abuse reached levels in which no one would ever return.
Yep.
Welcome to Find Me in the Dark, a podcast covering all things true crime. This is Micro Episode 3, The Barsi Family Murder-Suicide. Hello, and welcome back to Find Me in the Dark. I am your host, Eric Phillips, along with my co-host, Robert Prestige.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
So today is Micro Episode number 3, the Judith Barsi murder-suicide, about, she was in Land Before Time, and All Dogs Go to Heaven, and then like 70-something insane commercials, television shows, all kinds of stuff, young girl, super sad story. So, even before we start, I continuously have to do this because people listen to these episodes and then get mad because I don't tell them.
Mm-hmm.
This involves the death of a very small child, and it's pretty upsetting. The details are upsetting. There's a lot of abuse. So, if you don't like that, skip it. Still rate it 5 stars. Comment, say it was great. I don't care if you listened to it or not. Pretend like you did. It's great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to shout out our new Patreon members, Melissa Siebert and Laura Anderson. Thank you guys so much for subscribing and giving us a little bit of your hard-earned money.
Yeah.
We really, really, really appreciate it. Yeah.
This is a weird case today.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's because it was something that I've known, like, you see it like on the internet every once in a while, like those like, historical unknown facts, like, hey, Ducky from, Land Before Time was murdered, and you're like, oh, that's crazy. And then you find out the details of it, and it's just really gruesome and really sad, and it's almost like, you've seen that Gabriel Fernandez thing
on Netflix.
It's a lot like that. It's a lot like that because it's like the system. Multiple people had to fail this girl for this to happen.
Yes, they did.
They really did.
And we'll find out that shortly.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't we just get into it now?
All right, sounds good. Judith Barsi was born on June 6, 1978, to Hungarian immigrant parents Maria and Joseph Barsi. Joseph and Maria both fled the U.S. after the Hungarian People's Republic uprising of 1956. The couple began the relationship after they met at a restaurant in the greater Los Angeles area, where Maria was a server. They immediately had a connection and were to be married soon after their initial meeting. The honeymoon phase didn't last, and Joseph's true colors were beginning to show. Joseph had a daughter and a son from a previous marriage, which ultimately ended due to his alcoholism and abusive tendencies.
Maria and Joseph's marriage was one and the same. Not only did his violent behavior continue, but it escalated. Joseph was an angry drunk and consistently made threats to kill himself and his family. His alcohol intake was increasing rapidly, which resulted in him getting multiple DUIs and run-ins with the law. A downward spiral that would end in an unimaginable tragedy.
From an early age, Judy's mother was preparing her to be a star, teaching her the importance of posture, poise, and voice. When Judy was only 5 years old, she was discovered by a camera crew at a local ice skating rink. Judy's career was off to a meteoric start. Between 1984 and 1989, she starred in over 70 commercials and multiple feature films and television shows. She starred in ads for major companies such as McDonald's, Toys R Us, Donald Duck Orange Juice, Pledge, Top Ramen, Tide, Campbell's Soup, and many more.
Her first big role was on a television show called Fatal Vision, where she played the character of Kimberly McDonald in the story ironically based on the murder of the wife and daughter of Army officer Jeffrey R. McDonald at Fort Bragg. She was well-spoken, adorable, and extremely talented. After her debut role in Fatal Vision, she was cast in multiple television series, ending in her transitioning into major films, her most notable roles being Ducky in The Land Before Time and Anne Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven. Well, it seems like her mom had some ideas for her from the beginning, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, training her on the importance of posture and speaking and etiquette and just all that and stuff, you know, just it seems like a lot, though, for a 2-year-old, you know, like to be training them for something that serious at that early of an age.
For sure.
It's just like, it almost seems like at that point you don't really have a childhood.
Yeah, I was just going to say
don't.
that myself.
And then what was that you read between like 1985 and 89 or 84 and 89? She did like 70 something commercials.
So, commercials and
television
shows,
dude, movies. Dude, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Like just think about that by year. Mm-hmm. Just separating that in by year. And of course, it's probably not evenly distributed. So there's probably a few years she's doing like 20 commercials and a couple TV shows.
Right. They said, you know, by later, like 88, she was averaging like $100,000 a year.
God, man.
That's 10 years old. I mean, even before that.
Even before that, right? Yeah. And then, you know, her...
She was just lucky.
Oh, I guess.
Lucky going roller skating, and
she was lucky in that part of her life. She's not lucky to have that alcoholic dad that's abusing her all through this process.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, to be able to work like that despite abuse and stuff like, but it just seems terrible because then, you know, you're working and you probably hate that. And then you go home and you definitely hate that, you know?
Yeah, and we're about to get into that too.
Like,
just, you know, the life at home kind of part of it.
Yeah, well, let's just talk about the home life then.
While happiness and love emanated from the screen during every one of her appearances, the truth behind her smile told a much different and more sinister story. Joseph's alcoholism was taking its toll on the young family. Beginning in 1985, Joseph was a plumber, but would regularly stay home from work to get drunk instead. This led to him losing his job, and having refused to allow his wife Maria to work, he began to collect welfare to support the family. Due to the frustration of being out of work and his increased alcoholism, Joseph's behavior became increasingly unstable and violent. He frequently made threats to his family, saying he would cut their throats and burn the house down with everyone inside.
His violent outbursts were horrifying for the young family. The house was filled with screams, smashing glass, and pots and pans being thrown at the children, causing them to bleed from their injuries. In 1986, Maria reported his abuse to the police, but when the officers arrived on the scene, they found no physical signs of abuse, and Maria ultimately decided not to press charges. Not only was the physical abuse rampant in the house, but the mental abuse was just as prevalent. Maria once told her neighbor a story about the time she bought Judy a brand new kite, but when her father saw her playing with it, he drunkenly walked outside and smashed it to pieces.
This mental abuse resulted in Judy showing extremely disturbing behaviors, such as pulling her hair and eyelashes out and plucking the whiskers from her cat's face. During a singing audition for All Dogs Go to Heaven, Judy had an emotional breakdown in front of her agent. This resulted in Maria bringing Judy to see a child psychiatrist. The psychiatrist identified extreme signs of emotional and physical abuse and decided to report what she saw to Child Protective Services. The case was dropped after Maria promised the caseworker that she intended on divorcing Joseph. Maria had already signed a lease on a new apartment for her and the children, but unfortunately, it was too little, too late.
It's now July 25th, 1988. That morning, Judy was seen riding her bike outside by her neighbors. This is the last time anyone would see her alive. That evening, Joseph's abuse reached its peak. Later that night, Joseph silently entered Judy's room, sat next to her on her bed, pulled out his .25 caliber pistol, and shot her point blank behind her ear while she was fast asleep, killing her instantly. Maria was awoken by the sound of the gunshot and ran towards her daughter's room. She was met in the hallway by her deranged husband. He lifted his pistol and shot her dead where she stood. Joseph lived in the house with the bodies of his daughter and wife for a total of 2 days.
On the 26th, Joseph made a call to Judy's agent, stating he planned to move out for good. He just needed to say goodbye to his daughter first. Little did she know, Judy was already gone. On the last day, Joseph poured gasoline on the deceased bodies of Maria and Judy and then set them on fire. After he burned the bodies of his wife and daughter, Joseph went to the garage and shot himself in the head with a .32 caliber pistol. Police responded to what they assumed to be a house fire and stumbled upon a gruesome murder-suicide. On August 9th, 1988, Maria and Judy were both interred at Forest Memorial Park in Los Angeles.
On Judy's tombstone, the inscription reads, "Our concrete angel. Yep, yep, yep." Judy was never able to see her final roles in Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven. In the end credits of All Dogs Go to Heaven, the song Love Survives was played and dedicated in her memory.
Well, goodbye, buddy.
Oh, Charlie, I'll miss you.
Yeah, I'll miss you too, Squeaker. Now you go to sleep, huh?
Charlie, will I ever see you again?
Sure. Sure you will, kid. You know, goodbyes aren't forever.
Then, goodbye, Charlie. I love you.
All right. Now that we just ruined everybody's day,
For sure, dude.
That's one of the hardest episodes we've had to record and research, and just because all the audio of her little voice, saying all these adorable things, and her, just all the footage of her, it's just so sad. It's so sad that the system failed her, and
I mean, her parents.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but it's just the circumstances are, I don't know, man. She was so brutally abused, along with her mother too, and the fact that they had signed a lease on a new apartment and it was just about time to get out, and it's just too late at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about years upon years of abuse, and she gets these 2 huge movies and never gets to see them.
That's it. She never got to see either one of those movies. It just makes it that much sadder when you go back and try to watch those movies,
Yeah, especially, dude, like, All Dogs Go to Heaven was already sad enough.
Right.
And now you have to listen to it knowing that this little girl never got to see it, and it was such an important part in her life, an important moment in her career. And, she never really got to have a childhood, never really got to have a career, never really got to have a life. It was all just snuffed out early. It's just sad. But, yeah, I mean, that's micro episode number 3. That's, story of the Barsi family murder-suicide, which is incredibly sad. Sorry if we ruined your day, but, the story has to be told because it happened so many times,
Exactly.
Just all this, I mean, the more you learn about true crime, the more you see this pattern, where it's, the father is a drunk and abusive, and then all of a sudden, everybody's gone in the family.
Yep.
So,
So what are we doing? We figure out what that poll was for...
our next full episode is the Virginia Tech mass shooting. And then after that, we're going to do Our Lady of the Angels Fire anyways. So it was just kind of a poll to see who was going to do it or what one we were going to do first. And Virginia Tech won by a landslide, which is going to be really interesting because there's so much footage and of the guy himself, security cameras, firsthand, from the students that were in there, the police officers, his roommates, there's just a bunch of stuff from that. It's a really scary case. And then Our Lady of the Angels is equally as horrifying I mean, I don't know how many people really know about it. Probably we just know about it because we live in technically like the Chicagoland area,
right,
you
right.
know. So yeah, we're gonna do that. I just want to thank you all for listening. We appreciate the support, of course, always. Rob, good job today.
Yeah, same to you as always, Eric.
All right, guys, find me in the dark. Out.
Love it.